Michael Jackson is always caught by surprise whenever something terrible occurs in his life. He never seems able to connect the dots of unfolding misery back to his own impulsive actions and questionable judgment. For instance, he had never recognized that for every disadvantaged youngster who visited Neverland Ranch, there would always be a set of parents in the background. Some, such of those his present accuser and those of Jordan Chandler's, might be at war with each other in a battle that could involve child custody, as it has in both cases. Also, each child and each parent was likely to have his and her own dysfunctional history as well as aggressive attorneys. Since there was no way to check the backgrounds of every child and every parent who entered his private domain, would it not have made more sense to keep strangers out of Neverland? If he was so determined to host an amusement park for kiddies, could he not have maintained Neverland for that purpose, but chosen to live elsewhere? The simple answer for Michael is no. He must be around children. He must have them in his midst. Neverland is a shrine to adolescence. There are statues of youngsters and photographs of boys and girls all over the place. How long, one wonders, can Michael and his enablers continue to explain his strange behavior by saying he is compensating for a childhood ripped from him by his career, his fame, his fans? The duration of a person's conspicuous childhood probably spans the years between 5 and 18. Michael became famous at the age of 10, now to be reductive of a person's dysfunction in such a complex world. But if one insists upon harping on the notion of a lost childhood, then it seems that Michael lost 8 years. Michael bought Neverland in 1988. He has lived there, surrounded by a dreamy and fake adolescence for roughly 16 years. Therefore, it would seem he has compensated for his lost childhood 2 times over. In truth, Neverland remains a monument of Michael's confusion and conflict about childhood. It's not how much he missed out on it, but rather how much he misses it. He clings to every vestige of youth with almost manic desperation, as if growing up would be the worst thing that could happen to him. The ride in the private jet, a Gulfstream G4 from Las Vegas to Santa Barbara on November 20th, 2003, the day Michael was arrested, was, of course, a difficult one. He was frightened and pessimistic about the future. Why does everyone else get to be so happy and I'm always thrashing through the mud? He asked. Michael arrived at the jail wearing a black suit with his hands cuffed behind his back. He was photographed and fingerprinted and handed over his passport. It took about a half hour. He was charged with 10 counts or lascivious acts with a child under age 14, each count punishable by 3 to 8 years in prison. Michael was free with $3 million bail, which means he had to come up with $300,000. No difficult thing for him to do. Later, Michael would claim that he had been abused by police officers while at the station. They had even dislocated his shoulder. It was unlikely that Michael suffered that at the hands of law enforcement. There are video cameras everywhere. When did the abuse happen? He seemed fine when he arrived at the station and was waving to people and flashing the victory sign when he left. The bruised Michael displayed to 60 Minutes correspondent Ed Bradley on December 29th, 2003, as evidence of handcuffs had been too tight as so high to his arms it had been the result of some other occurrence. Some speculated that he had actually hurt himself during the correlation ride from Santa Barbara to Las Vegas while shaking hands with fans out of the half open window of his automobile. There was something about Michael's detailing of police abuse that felt impulsive in delivery, as if he hadn't thought about it in advance, but rather made a snap decision at a desperate, anxious moment. It's doubtful that he discussed it with his attorneys in advance. Coming directly from Michael, the accusation of abuse truly was disconcerting. Everything Michael says these days has to hold up other scrutiny. His credibility and his on the line more than ever. It's also doubtful that anyone in his camp would dare take him to task for such impulsive behavior, though. It is more likely that after they were caught by surprise, they were scrambled to figure out how to handle it. After the accusation of abuse made headlines, the police department retaliated by releasing a video which seemed Michael wasn't abused at all, but rather actually treated well by the authorities. The suspicious allegations against the police made things worse for Michael. It looked like a diversionary tactic and caused some of his critics to speculate as to why he would need one.